Good day to doctor. My name is Wong and my meeting number is 269547. I am from Group 2 and the other group members from Group 2 are Nur SOFIA NATASYA, NURUL HANNANI, and YONG. The topic given to us are Legislature and Intergovernmental Organizations, IGOs. The first objective of our assignment is to discuss the legislative and non-legislative power of the European Parliament under the topic of legislature, while the second objective of our assignment is to discuss about the structure and function of the WHO under the topic of intergovernmental organizations, IGOs. Now, I'd like to pass the floor to my group members to continue the first case study.
Assalamualaikum and selamat sejahtera. My name is NURUL HANNANI binti SARMANI. My matric number is 268019. Okay, today I will be presenting about case study 1. Case study 1 for our topic is Legislature, European Union Parliament legislative and non-legislative power. Okay, come to the next slide. So this is our introduction about what is legislature. So legislature is defined as the critical institution in the state that adopt democracy system. So legislature of the state can be categorized into two types, which are unicameral and bicameral. Okay, so European Union is adopting the bicameral legislature as its legislative comprises two houses. Okay, so European Parliament is known as the Legislative Assembly of European Union. So the European Parliament consists of 705 members from 37 member states. Next slide is about research question 1. So what is our question for research question 1 is, what is the role of European Parliament in shaping and controlling its foreign policy of European Union? So the first one is to exercise its legislative function. What does that mean? So the European Parliament, which is the legislative body of European Union, is given the right to reject, adopt and amend European Union law or legislation. So the second one is to execute budgetary functions. So the European Parliament has given the right to plan the European Union annual budgetary with the Council of European Union according to the Lisbon Treaty. So the last one is to execute supervisory functions. So the European Parliament is having the right to scrutiny the activity of the European Union institution such as European Commission to ensure the democratic legitimacy of the European Union. So the next one is research question 2. So for our research question 2 is about how European Parliament develop foreign policy through legislative and non-legislative power. So the European Parliament has evolved into a directly elected institution which acquires budgetary and administrative powers. So the position of the European Parliament is same as the Council of European Union, where both of them are legislative bodies of European Union. So the European Parliament is also granted the right to set up and control the implementation of the European Union budget with the Council of the European Union. Okay, so European Parliament is also involved in dismissing and appointing process of the European Commission. Other than that, the consent of the European Parliament is essential regarding to the participant or withdrawal of the country in European Union. So the next one is about hard legislative powers. So the European Parliament as the legislative body has involved in different degrees of the European Union legislation. So it has transformed from a purely advisory role to a body that involved in co-decision as the Council of the European Union. So the ordinary legislative procedure, due to the enforcement of Treaty of Nice, the co-decision procedure is applicable to 46 legal treaty establishing the European Community. So the consent procedure was the legislative process introduced by Single European Act or SEA in 1896. So this procedure is applicable in the legislature area in which the Council acts by unanimous decision and unanimous decision, sorry. Okay, so the budgetary power of the European Union, the position of European Parliament and Council are equally in the matters of annual budgetary procedure after the Lisbon Treaty has abolished the distinction of the expenditure. That's all from me. I'll pass to my group members who will be present about soft legislative powers and research question 3. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera to my lecturer Dr. Norafida binti Ismail. My name is SOFIA Natasha binti MAZAFFANDE. My matric number is 267698. So I will continue about the soft non-legislative power. So there are 4 points under the soft non-legislative power. So we go to the first point. So the first point is parliamentary competences in the common foreign and security policy. So the Common Foreign and Security Policy, which is CFSP, is deemed as an intergovernmental. The binding and non-binding agreements are combined to allow for formal and informal legislative influence in policy making. So the second point is oversight of the European external actions. So the European External Action Service, which is EEAS, known as the EU Foreign Minister, is one of the key institutional innovation introduced by the Lisbon Treaty. It is not a new EU institution, but is considered as a new service in the EU institutional framework. So the third point is regular contact with the third partner. In pursuing open bilateral and multilateral relations with third partners, countries, and international organizations, the Parliament provides a public forum for both representatives of partner countries and organizations, prominent non-state actors, and also for leading policy makers from the Council, EEAS, Commissions, and member states as well. So the last point is democracy support, including election observation. So as we know, the European Parliament upholds the concept of democracy. In this matter, one of the core responsibilities of the EP is to support the European Union international effort to promote democracy, human rights, as well as the rule of law, in which laws and procedure should apply equally to all citizens. So, what are the achievements and challenges faced by EP in the context of shaping and controlling EU foreign policy? There are two. So we go to the achievement first. The achievement is European Parliament as the legislative body in shaping and controlling of the foreign policy is it has improved the EU policy related to the environment. So the second achievement is respect and dealing with requests of the citizen and protect the human rights while they are shaping and controlling the EU policy. And the third achievement is successfully done its supervisory function, which are the scrutiny. So they have a challenge. One of the challenges suffered by EP is that democracy deficit. The term of democracy deficit refers to an institution such as government supposedly to be a democratic institution, but however, the institution did not follow the principle of democracy in its operations. So the conclusion is, we have discussed the role in the general in research question 1 and explained it in procedural in research question to shape and control EU foreign policy. The EP has attained some achievement, particularly relating to the improvement of environment policy as well as protect human rights of the citizens. Besides, it's also ensure the executive of the EU executive their role. However, the EP was also being challenged when their power are comparatively less compared to those unselected institutions. This situation might influence the EP in shaping EU foreign policy due its less influential power. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Good day, madam. My name is Go Yong Han with measure number 269579. I will be presenting the second case study, which is related to the International Governmental Organization, IGO. IGO is an entity that usually created by multilateral agreement that comprise of two or more states to work in good faith to achieve their common interests. For example, United Nations is an IGO with almost universal membership. In this regard, this case study will mainly focus on the structure and function of World Health Organization (WHO), which was founded as the specialized international agency under United Nations in dealing with all global health issues. Hence, in order to have insightful understanding on WHO, this case study is divided into 4 research questions. The first research question is regarding what is WHO and what is the global health issue. The WHO was established in 1948, is one of the specialized agencies in United Nations to deal with all global health issues. The WHO is delegated by ministers of health from all member states. Based on Article 1 of WHO Constitution, the main objective of WHO is to ensure people attain the highest standard level of health. The duty of WHO are carried out by the World Health Assembly, the Executive Board, and Secretariat. In order to uphold global health security, the International Health Regulation came into force that explained the state's obligations in handling public health events and emergency during pandemic outbreak. In this regard, the regulations empower the WHO to act as the main global surveillance system to control of the international spread of disease, especially to ensure the states reporting certain disease outbreak to WHO. The failure of reporting certain disease outbreaks would cause serious public health security. For example, the SARS outbreak in China in 2003. So, to what extent it considered as global health issue? The scope of global health is wide as it can be directly or indirectly affect health that can transcend national boundaries. Hence, the global health issue concerned by WHO including communicable disease, for example, the Ebola outbreak in West Africa in 2014 and the recent global outbreak of coronavirus. In response to the increasing number of global health emergency, the emergency response framework is also developed to guide WHO in response in all types of emergencies. Basically, the framework is divided into 3 levels of emergency grades, with grade 3 being the most serious. For example, the Ebola outbreak is considered as level 3 of emergencies, so those crises may urgently require a wide range of healthcare service from WHO. Moving on to the second research question, why does WHO influence states' policy regarding this global health issue? First of all, national security concern is the main consideration in this matter. National security means the security of humans' livelihood. It relies on health. For example, the pandemic COVID-19 has disrupted the lives and livelihood of people all over the world. In this matter, WHO played a role to influence state policy to deal with such pandemic. The influence here means all member states of WHO are obliged to follow the international health regulation in response to the emergency. Without the regulation, the states do not have the standard and norm to deal with such emergencies, so it might cause damage to the national security of the states. Therefore, the seriousness of the pandemic will influence the policymaker to strengthen their health system to protect their population from pandemic outbreak. On the other hand, the pandemic outbreak is not only a global health crisis, but also has some impact on global economy. This is because health is much more related to economies such as productivity, business, trade, and even tourism that is the main income of a state. Without WHO's influence on states' policy in responding to global health issues, it would cause the states loss of economy in terms of reducing productivity, business closure, and so on. For example, even before COVID-19 has declared by WHO as the global health issue, the overacting of the individuals and governments had already took action to limit the spread of disease through social isolation. This had caused the global airlines loss of profit in refunding the unused ticket. Therefore, this is how important for WHO to influence state policy in enacting their policy for economy. Without WHO influence, the state will suffer unnecessary loss of profits. That's all from me. Now I shall pass the floor to the next presenter. Thank you.
Thank you to my groupmate Go Yong Han. Good day to Doctor. My name is Wong Kai En and my matrix number is 269547. Now I'd like to continue the presentation on the third research question, which is how the World Health Organization WHO affects the state's policy concerning to the global health issues. For the first point on how WHO affects the state's policy, by identifying and declaring the global health issue. It is important for the states to know the existence of the global health issues to amend or enforce the latest state's policy. For your information, WHO is given the rights and authority to declare a public health emergency of international concern, which also known as PHEIC FIC. The example of the FIC has been declared by the WHO is swine flu H1N1 epidemic, Ebola outbreak, and the COVID-19 pandemic. It is important for the state to know the information on the global health issue as they are able to amend or enforce the latest foreign policy to secure their national interests such as national security by reducing the risk of affected by the global health issue. For instance, the former United States President Donald Trump have restricted all the foreign nationals who had traveled to China in the past 14 days from entering to the United States, one day after the WHO have declared the COVID-19 pandemic as the global health emergency. Next, I'd like to explain on how WHO affect the state's policy concerning to the global health issue by establishing and issuing the guidance. It is important for us to know that one of the functions of the WHO is to give recommendations with respect to the international health matters and to perform such duties according to Article 2, Clause K of the Constitution of the World Health Organization. The purpose of WHO for issuing all this guidance is to advise the countries on how to respond to the global health issue and to avoid them from overreacting, which might cause the undue economic harm. An example of the guidance issued by the WHO is a technical guidance, which has been adopted by the Minister of Health in many countries, and guidance for existing the leaders and policymakers in responding to the COVID-19 in cities and urban settings. Therefore, all this guidance is important as a tool for the policymakers to deal with the global health issues. However, it is important to clarify that all this guidance is not legally binding with their members, which means that the WHO members is not necessary for obeying all this guidance which has been issued by WHO. Thirdly, I'd like to explain on how WHO affect the state's policy by implementing and enforcing the legal framework. Unlike the guidance that have been mentioned previously, the legal framework is legally binding with the members of WHO or the countries which ratify the treaty. The examples of the legal framework enforced by WHO are the International Health Regulation (IHR) and Framework Convention on Tobacco Control (FCTC). In IHR, it states the country's rights and obligations in handling the public health event and emergencies, and it is also responsible for the states to implement IHR at the national level. While in the FCTC, it enforced the party to implement taxes on the tobacco in their country to reduce the demand of the tobacco according to Article 6 of the FCTC. Now, I'd like to continue to the fourth research question, which is what is the importance, achievements, and the challenges to the WHO in influencing the state's policy related to the global health issues. Now, I'd like to continue the presentation with the importance and achievements of WHO. The importance of WHO is act as a leader on the global health issues, and the achievements in leadership of global health issues achieved by WHO are eradicated the smallpox disease in 1977 by organizing the campaigns all around the world. Besides that, WHO has successfully pressured governments and pharmaceutical industry to decrease the price of AIDS treatment. Another importance of WHO is monitoring and assisting the states on the global health issues by implementing and enforcing the legal framework such as IHR and FCTC. In addition, WHO has staff all around the world to assist the states on global health issues with the guidelines provided by WHO. Although there are many achievements have been achieved by WHO, there are also challenges faced by WHO. The first challenges of WHO is the national sovereignty issue. The states might disobey the regulations enforced by WHO because they will decide the policy themselves, as there is no overarching power which can tell them what to do. For instance, during the Ebola outbreak, Canada has violated the Article 43 of the IHR when it implemented additional health measures by imposing travel restrictions against the Ebola-affected countries. The second challenge faced by WHO is the late response of WHO, which has been criticized during the COVID-19 pandemic. It is important to clarify that this situation has caused by the limitation of the power. Although WHO is considered as a governing body, it does not have any multilateral or subpoena power. This has caused it has no right to access any state's database immediately without the permission of the state, which has caused them can't get the accurate information at the first place. In conclusion, WHO is a specialized international agency established under United Nations, which playing the role to affect the state's policy related to the global health issue. Although there are many achievements achieved by WHO, there was also challenges faced by WHO, such as national sovereignty issue, late response of WHO, and limitation of power. In general, our assignment have focused on the European Parliament for the first case study under the topic of legislature and focus on WHO under the Intergovernmental Organization IGOs for the second case study. According to the assignment, I hope that everyone is able to understand how the legislature and intergovernmental organization is able and how it works to affect the state's policy. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy our presentation. Thank you.